I arrived at the parking lot just below Mount Whitney to pick up the guys, and there was a steady rain coming down all morning long, and everybody was wearing rain gear. Chris and Andy showed up at the car first, and they threw their equipment into the back of the car, and they jumped in, and I asked them, well, how was it? And Andy said, I hate hiking. I am never going hiking again.
So I'm back out here with Andy, hiking the Colorado Trail. All right, we're here day 2. Right before section 2 on the Colorado Trail, about to take off into the dry section. We're just a couple minutes into the day, and right down there is where we just came from. Pretty beautiful, I'd say. Just miles into our Colorado Trail hike, we saw features that made us think of the 200-mile through hike of the John Muir Trail. You can't complete the JMT without creating a few memories along the way, and the large river we crossed helped us make a few comparisons already.
So we rolled into the Muir Trail ranch. Everyone was talking about these hot springs. Hiked 21 miles that day to get to the ranch. So nothing sounded better than spending some nice time at these beautiful hot springs. There was no bridge to cross the river, so the only way to get across was to walk barefoot.
It's a bit wider than we anticipated.
It wasn't that deep. It was just over knee deep, but it was super long across.
We reached the other side.
Chris fell. I mean, he was wearing his rain jacket and like everything he had to stay warm.
And we start walking, and there's some campers camped out, and we asked them about the hot springs.
We asked them which way to go, and they said, oh yeah, it's really obvious.
Just kind of walk along this rock. There's a down tree that you'll probably have to wrestle with a little bit.
We stumbled around, and there were
these thorny bushes covering everywhere.
My feet were just getting eaten up, you know, and on a backpacking trip, the one thing you need is your feet to be well taken care of. We went to one of the bigger water spots, and I remember kind of touching it, putting my hand in it.
And I hopped in, and immediately it was kind of underwhelming.
It was warm.
So we're all sitting there kind of wondering if, you know, this was the right choice.
But it felt a little warm, so we said, what the heck, this must be it.
The sky was crystal clear, and you could see all the stars. So we were kind of chatting back and forth. Suddenly something bit me.
I swear something's biting me.
Yeah, there are things in here.
So I shot out of the hot springs, and Paul and Andy are laughing at me.
I was kind of laughing at him. I thought that was silly. And then, ow, something's biting me.
Well, you're the last one in.
I am out of it. And I jumped out quicker than you can bet. And we crawled out of there. Somehow we stumbled back through this prickly weeds, walked back across the river barefoot in the rain. Well, it wasn't raining, but it was cold and it was wet. We crawled into our tents, and we were thankful to be warm and dry in our tents.
And a couple days later, we were hiking up Muir Pass, and they have a hut at the top, and it was raining, so we climbed in the hut to get out of the storm.
And we were talking to some other people.
One of the groups of hikers asked, did you guys sit in the hot springs? And so we kind of described the
situation to them. And this
girl turned to her boyfriend and said, Kyle, did you hear that? Those guys sat in that mud pit.
It turns out we were never actually in the hot springs. We had sat in a mud pit with lukewarm water while we were 50 yards from what's been described, but I'll never know, as a warm, beautiful hot spring.
We just broke through the trees, and I am loving this beauty. Check that out. See those guys down there? They gave me jerky. So we're basically best friends. Well, I'm their best friend anyway. I don't know what they think about me. So I told Andy that I would meet him at the firehouse. There's a firehouse with the spigot in the back that we can get some water from. But this rock just feels way too good.
33.4. That's how many miles in we are from Denver. I go 100 yards, stop. 100 yards, stop. That'd be okay if you didn't have to keep picking up the damn backpack.
That's very true. Let's see if you can hear what we're hearing. There it was. Walking on the trail and there's a rifle range nearby. It's a little ominous. I'm out here on section 4, I believe. We're hiking up a logging road and it's actually really nice. The dirt's not reflecting too much heat. It's covered in shade. This is my type of hiking.
The rain. Did I ever tell you about the flood of 2013?
It was a longer day, and we set up camp, and we had this really nice kind of ridge. It just seemed like the perfect campsite.
But shortly after we went to bed, it just started raining.
And raining is kind of an understatement.
It's about 1 a.m. and it is pouring rain, lightning and thunder. There's so much water here.
Rained and rained like I've never seen before.
1,000, 2, 1,000,
3. And then you'd hear the thunder, and he was getting all excited about that. But Andy was pretty quiet.
I was pretty freaked out for myself.
The next thing you know, I kind of wake up, and it's this downpour. I'm hearing gusts of wind.
His tent wasn't a freestanding tent.
So it is early in the morning, and the rain has just been coming down all night. I'm in a little bit of a predicament.
The stakes just pulled out.
Rain softened the ground enough, and my stakes pulled right out. And just like that, my tent fell down. So it fell down again. I felt all the water rushing in.
And it came over the edge and soaked in.
It's letting in a ton of water. So anyway, I gotta find some dry shelter. I got myself dressed in my rain gear. Now I gotta make a run for it, so this is about as real as it gets.
I heard him screaming like a baby.
I started calling out to Paul. Well, I think just to anyone, just to let him know what had happened.
I was freaked out for myself, so I just stayed quiet.
Paul was like, well, all right, come on over.
Eventually, I realized that Paul was offering for Chris to come over into his tent. So the two grown men into a one-man tent. And
it wasn't that big.
And I don't know, it was pretty funny. I guess eventually it stopped raining.
The alarm clock went off.
It's at like a 6 a.m. alarm so we could get hiking early. But I'd only gotten a couple hours of sleep at that point. So when the alarm went off, I laughed, shut it right off right away. But because I knew those two guys were in a one-man tent together, I went ahead and yelled, "Hey, how you two lovebirds doing over there?" That's basically how that night went.
Hey, we're just getting started in on our 4th day. We've made it about 50 miles. We'll be at about 65 by the end of the day. But right now we just have this beautiful meadow that we're walking through. Check it out. 50 miles in on the Colorado Trail, and I was anxious. The rainy night on the JMT was on my mind. I've learned that nature will throw challenges your way and then follow up to see if you've learned. But at this point on the trail, all we could do was keep going further. This is what I live for, guys, on a backpacking trip. I'm right here next to Rock Creek in the heat of the day. Got my shoes kicked off, and I'm about to cool off. It just feels so good on days like today. So here we go. Whew. It's just the right temperature.
When I looked, we were kind of right on the edge. Like it was blue sky just north of us.
Yeah.
And lightning south. So you guys probably got worse than we did.
Yeah, we got
absolutely drenched. But yeah.
At least you're going to dry out in town today, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Something to look forward to.
Yeah. Well, best of luck with that hitch and everything.
Thank you.
Sometimes you just get lucky. Our conversation with the other hikers sounded all too familiar. When people came by our camp on the JMT to ask about the storm, I didn't have much to say. The rain hit all of us that night, but the way we experienced it was different. At this point on the trip, all I could do was tally up our night against the storm as a win. I was gonna take this one. So we're up here pretty high. That's where we came from, right over there. That saddle. I don't know if you can see it. What do you have to say, Andy?
It's beautiful. It's worth it. I didn't think it would be, but it is.
It's just me in the world. Had a great night with a little bit of rain to put me to sleep. Woke up to a beautiful day. And now I'm here and it's just me and these incredible views. Isn't that something? Oh, and a bird running down the trail. I hope that's a bird. I don't have my glasses on, so everything's a bit blurry, but I can still tell you that this is amazing.
Chris was videoing like he likes to do, and we came around a corner. He likes to take a picture of the trail signs
because I think it's a great way to show people kind of where you're going without saying it.
We came around the corner and there was the trail sign, and he wanted to get a shot of it. And there was a mother and her young child, maybe a 4-year-old child.
He was standing right by the sign. The sign was basically just a post.
It was like a pole that the sign was on, and then there were all these rocks stacked up on it.
He kind of was backed up against the post with his heels on the rock.
Chris kind of stood there with his camera out. He was even kind of focusing in, you know, getting the right shot, how he was going to shoot this sign.
I was shooting it, but I really feel weird filming other people that I haven't asked to film.
And the stupid kid just stood there.
And I didn't really want to ask if they wanted to be in our video because I thought that would be kind of weird.
We wanted him to get out of the way so we could get the shot.
You know, I'm just gonna politely ask them if they can move for a second while I get the shot. So I asked him, and it was kind of weird because the boy looked at me like I was crazy. He just looked really confused and didn't move.
I've never seen anything like it.
The mom just said something kind of abruptly and in that motherly tone, and suddenly the boy started scrambling. And he fell over and hit the ground and just started crying.
He cried and he cried, and that mother picked him up and carried him away.
That was about the time we realized that neither of them spoke any English because the mother was comforting the child. It was really kind of awkward. And I looked at Andy and he kind of looked back at me, and I had no idea what to do next. So I just pushed record, got the shot, and looked back at Andy, and then we both kind of headed off without saying another word.
I don't even think that shot made it into the video, so I'm not sure if it was worth it or not.
We are on day 6. We just climbed out of this creek area. So now we're way up high. Here's what we see. It's the first time we've seen snow.
Did it.
It's our last day on the Colorado Trail, and we've got some great views. Who I am and what I am is a lifetime of stories. Each challenge I face enriches the plot, and as I head out into the mountains, I see that my story continues on further than I could have ever imagined. I can't say that hiking long distances will ever be easy, but I can say the most engaging stories come when we go further.